Hello, hello, welcome to Ass, everybody. We are Ass Adam
Steve.
Show, baby. Here we are today talking about some movie news, some big movies that came out, and some movies that have been out for a minute. But we want to talk about first the biggest movie star of the mid 2000s, Will Smith.
Yes, the Wild Wild West man himself, which I love that movie, but
Mm-hmm.
he's actually having a new movie come out that I was not expecting to get a sequel to anytime soon, especially, and that is I Am Legend. We're getting an I Am Legend 2 with co-star Michael B. Jordan, which is pretty awesome, but the thing that's really weird here is that we're getting the deleted scene that was on the DVD, which everyone personally loves way more than the original ending. That is now the canon ending, I guess, and that is where the movie is continuing from. So, what are your thoughts on that?
So I've seen I Am Legend. I own two copies of it on DVD. I remember it being a pretty good movie, especially for Will Smith at the time where he was such a huge superstar name that he could just carry a movie all on his own. The movie is literally just him and a dog, and it does so much with so little. And well, it comes from great source material, but it's one that hasn't really stuck with me in my life. I remember it. I don't really want a sequel. So for the uneducated like me who don't remember, and some who might not have seen the movie or don't care or don't remember, can you tell me what the alternate ending is?
So, the story basically is like you were saying, it's just Will Smith and his dog. It's a little bit after like a couple of years, I think, into the apocalypse. He's pretty much the only human being in this whole area in New York. And he's just running through these packs of zombies at times, and he's a scientist himself who's trying to find a cure for the zombie virus. And during all of this, he comes across his family who he's trying to also protect eventually. And then in this ending, the zombie horde is infiltrating his lab where he's also doing an experiment on a zombie
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure out the virus and everything. It's actually a wife to one of the lead zombie things because like these zombies are like more in their heads and like more people than a lot of other zombies and different things. But in this alternate ending, he actually like can sympathize and like talk to this zombie and like tell him that he's gonna try this cure to kind of like help his wife in a way. And he does this thing that almost shows that he can cure this zombie virus to these zombies and end up walking away. And that's kind of how the scene ends, is that he finally found the cure for the virus and he decides to kind of like spread it out. So I feel like that's probably where they're gonna try to go, is trying to like spread out this new cure that he found, I'm guessing, but I'm not 100% sure. But it's
So in
honestly,
the original, he blows himself up, right?
yes, in the original ending, he literally, the family that I'm talking about, this woman and their child,
Mm-hmm.
he actually, so in the movie, he sympathizes with them a lot because he's had a kid that died, like, I think a plane crash or something. His wife and daughter got into a plane that crashed. So he was connected to this wife and this lady and her son. And he basically pushes them through a vent to get them to safety. And then instead of him going with them, which he had plenty of time, he literally stands there for like almost a whole minute and then pulls the pin on the grenade and literally runs to the zombies. And then it blows up. And then the woman and the child go to this compound. And that's how it ends. Like she has like, he gives her the virus or the cure and then sends her off. And then he runs into the pack. It's
Like
kind
a
of lame.
badass.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, I adore I Am Legend. Like it was one of my favorite movies back in like 2007 or whatever it came out. I was a
Mm-hmm.
huge Will Smith kid. I literally wrote like a book report in school about like my historical figure was Will Smith because he was like a star of his own TV show when he was a kid and shit. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge Will Smith guy. I know he was canceled and whatnot, but that excites me alone. So I'm like, I'm in, but like the alternate ending use, although I do prefer it, it's just kind of weird because I hope it's not becoming like a standard of like, okay, we're just gonna rework movies to try to fit our own shit. Like it, that kind of stuff just kind of feels like it's setting a bad standard.
It's like every Terminator sequel. Like this is actually just a sequel to the second one. Forget all the other Halloween. Like forget all the
Yeah,
other sequels.
like I get it. I get what you're trying to do at some ways, but like this one's the weirdest one because you're using a thing that literally does not technically exist. Like it was deleted, no one wanted to use it back then, but now you find that it's a good thing to use.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know, it's just strange, but I
I
hope it's
think
a
it's
good movie.
vampires.
Is it
I think that
vampire?
remember they can't go out in the daylight,
Well, it's
right?
like a zombie vampire hybrid virus. It's the whole thing.
I know
Because
it's a
like I think
Jesus
some of them can
metaphor or
go out in
something
the
like that.
virus. I think some of them can go out in the sun too. Like it's really weird.
Well, I'm a big Will Smith fan. I also like Wild Wild West. I understand why he gets a lot of flack. That was really dumb what he did at the Oscars.
Oh,
Uh,
I do
but
not condone that whatsoever. I know I've said that I'm a Will Smith fan, but yes, Chris
mhm,
Rock did nothing wrong with telling a joke, and he does not deserve
mhm.
physical assault for doing so. So I don't condone Will Smith's actions there, but I am still a fan, I'll be honest.
But I called it back in high school. I wrote on a piece of paper that Will Smith would win an Oscar one day, baby, and he did that, and no one can take that away from him. So sure, I like Michael B. Jordan. I was just watching Creed. I can't wait for Creed 3. Anything that Michael B. Jordan's in, I'll be excited about. And sure, if people are okay with Will Smith being in movies, I'm done talking about the slap. It's happened, it's over. I'm ready to move on.
Yeah, the people still making jokes and stand-up acts and stuff like that. It's very overdone.
hmm But that's not the only project he has, correct?
Yes, I forgot about that. There actually was announced, I think, on Twitter recently. I think it might have been Martin Lawrence's Twitter, but
Mm-hmm.
Bad Boys 4. And they even made the joke about being Bad Boys for life. And they're like, wait, we already used that title, but it's the fourth movie and shit like that. So they've already making self-aware jokes there. And honestly, I am a huge Bad Boys fan. Like Bad Boys 2 is one of my favorite action movies, hands down. Not the first one, Bad Boys 2. And Bad
Mm-hmm.
Boys 3 is great too. Like I really wish this one was called Bad Boys for Life, but
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. It was the only one of the only movies I saw in 2020 in theaters. So if that tells you how big of a Will Smith Martin Lawrence guy I am, I'll fight the virus just to see them.
I did not see the third one. I actually saw the first two for the first time during the lockdown, and I had to write reviews on each back when I was doing a lot of retrospectives. And I'm not a fan. I think the first one's not very good. The second one is very saturated Bay,
Oh
and I
yes.
think that if you're into that style, then it works. A lot of people, that's the known as the Empire Strikes Back of the Bad Boys franchise. And then I heard people like the third one as well. But I will not be anticipating this movie. I will see it. I will catch up on the third movie to see this. But I'm not necessarily a Martin Lawrence fan, and Will Smith is all right.
You mean you didn't grow up watching Big Mama's House like I did?
I have never and will never. Like
I really, really loved that movie as a kid. Like I'm not even joking. I would watch it on repeat. Paul Giamatti's in it too. He's great.
Yeah, well, that surprises me. Paul Giamatti is awesome. I love him, but
Yes.
no, I'm not a fan.
Whatever.
Uh, but yeah, so let's talk about. There's a lot of big movies that are out in theaters right now. Which one
Yes.
would you like to talk about first?
Well, touching on our little blockbuster game that we started last time, let's
Mm.
talk about M. Night since that was one of your higher up picks. And
Well, no, it was my last pick.
okay, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, it we went. Yeah, I forgot the order we went into. So yes,
Mm-hmm.
but honestly, I didn't think it was that bad of a movie. Although a lot
Mm-hmm.
of other people did because that Rotten Tomatoes score is kind of where was it at now? Was it in
68.
okay, I thought it was between 60 and 70. So
I'll double check.
it's not bad, but does it hit that mark? Is it gonna move around anymore?
I don't think it will move around anymore. It's at 68 from critics and a 64 from audiences. So consensus are is that it's all right.
And that's kind of where I'm sitting at too, because like honestly, during the movie, it was building up and I was really loving it. But I'm sorry, but that ending, it lost me.
Mm-hmm. So obviously, as the resident M. Night fanboy of the two of us, he's my favorite director. When you go into an M. Night movie, it's going to be a full experience. It might be the greatest movie you've ever seen. It might be the worst movie you've ever seen. And Knock at the Cabin was his second straight adaptation. So Old is based off of a graphic novel called Sandcastles. So it's not an original M. Night idea like something like Glass or Split or The Visit was. And Knock at the Cabin is based off of a book called Cabin at the End of the World. I think it's Paul Tremblay is the author. And I think that I loved it. Obviously, I loved it. It's M. Night. I think it's good. Like, I think objectively, I think how people are perceiving it right now with the 68 and the 64 scores, respectively, I agree with that because there is a lot of this movie where I'm like, the concept is kind of limited and it just turns into like a kidnapping movie. And then once the rules are set forth for our main characters, it's like, okay, so obviously I know how this is going to go. Can we just fast forward to the end? But the thing that really makes this movie stand tall is Dave Bautista's performance. My letterbox review is he will win an Oscar one day. How'd you feel about him?
Yes, so growing up, I talked about it in my review too. I am a huge Dave Bautista fan because he also was a wrestler before he became an actor. And me
Mm-hmm.
being a wrestling fan, like literally when I started watching, he was like the WWE, he was the world heavyweight champion. I literally wore like an orange watch like every day to school that literally just said Batista on it. It was black writing Batista and then it was orange. And that's all it was. It wasn't even a picture of him. But yes, so I've been a fan of his forever, and this is by far one of his best acting performances. Like this showed that he can do drama. I mean, we've already seen in like Guardians and stuff that he can be a goofy guy and stuff like that, but this showed that he is very serious and he can be just terrifying. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, have this like tenderness to him where you can tell that he doesn't want to be evil. He doesn't want to do the stuff that he's set out to do. And
Mm-hmm.
it's very dark, but wholesome. Like it's weird to even say, but it just speaks to how good he is.
It's a lot of conflicting emotions. And don't get me wrong, when I
Yeah.
say future Oscar winner, I don't mean this. Like you said, this shows that he has the chops, the
Hmm.
dramatic chops. And I think he might win a supporting actor one day. It's funny, I didn't get into Dave Bautista until he was announced for Guardians of the Galaxy. And I remember thinking, who? And he's fantastic in those. And just the directors that he works with are really great. Sam Mendes, Denis Villeneuve, and
Our our
oh,
boy Ryan
James Gunn,
Johnson.
Ryan Johnson. Yeah, he's really something special when it comes to that type of actor. Definitely stands head and shoulders above the likes of The Rock or John Cena.
By far, like he outshines both The Rock and John Cena, honestly. Especially
Mm-hmm.
with his last two roles in general, being Glass Onion and this one. Like Glass Onion showed that he can be the goofy yet like alt-right. And it's so funny because that role, he is not that person whatsoever. Like this dude is like hardcore, like Democrat, loves taking care of dogs and animals, and like and it's so funny because he can play that hardcore
Mm-hmm.
like idiot role like that, and then
Mm-hmm.
also play somebody in Knock at the Cabin. Like those two roles, if you look at them, they would never be played by most actors at the same time in the same year practically. Like he definitely shot those around the same time, so it's crazy that he can have both that kind of range as well as still be like a professional athlete. That
Mm-hmm.
just shows his commitment to acting as well. Like he keeps having these headlines about wanting to be in rom-coms. I would love Dave Bautista to be in a rom-com because I honestly think with his commitment, it would be believable.
Mm-hmm. No, I love him, and I will be excited about anything he does going forward. And like I said, he's the best part about this movie. I think all the performances are very good in this movie. It's interesting because one thing I've noticed of M. Night as of late specifically, well, no, throughout his whole career, he really knows how to give a powerhouse lead performance because James McAvoy in Split is absolutely fantastic. And then obviously in the early days, you got, Bruce Willis, not is it Haley Joel Osment?
Hmm.
And then obviously Sam Jackson, Bruce Willis, and Unbreakable, and Mel Gibson and Joaquin Phoenix, and the Signs is actually really fantastic as well. Where am I ranking Knock at the Cabin amongst M Night's movies? I kind of have them in tiers. So I have like the four great ones, like all time ones are like those first three: Signs, Unbreakable, Split, and The Sixth Sense, obviously. And this kind of goes in that second tier with movies like Old, the other movie that was an adapted screenplay, The Village, and The Visit for me, where it's like I still love them, but I think that they're flawed, and I totally understand why general audiences who are not drooling at the feet of M. Night would, maybe not be into.
Yeah, I'd definitely put it in my middle area too, because like you were saying at the top, it's definitely like Signs and Unbreakable, and even Glass is actually toward the top for me just because I really loved Glass. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And
it's
do you like
somewhere
this
in
more
the
than Old?
I do. I think I really do because
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I haven't gone back to rewatch Old, and honestly, I don't really plan to. Because like
Mm-hmm.
I liked it, but I feel like I remember it enough that I don't really need a rewatch. Unlike stuff
Mhm.
like The Village, where I want to go back and rewatch it again, I don't think that one necessarily needs one.
Well, I would like to get back to unsaturated M. Night. Like I said, this movie and Old are both adapted screenplays, and I would like to see more zany, crazy M. Night stuff, especially with his sense of humor. I mean, I don't get me wrong, we still get that M. Night sense of humor cameo in the movie. Literally everyone in my row like looked directly at me because they all knew me and knew how much I loved M. Night, and I had this big beaming smile on my face. But I don't know. I just feel like I said, the story of this was limiting, and especially the ending of the movie because they changed the ending. Would you like to give a rating before we talk about spoilers?
Oh yeah, I think I gave it like a 3.5, and I stand by that. I think it's like 3.5 teetering on a 4, just because that ending really, I didn't love it. I liked
Mm-hmm.
like I literally loved everything leading up to it, like you were saying, the performances, even Jonathan Groff, and I don't remember the other dad's name, but they were all fantastic. And even like the guy who a lot of people aren't really talking about that much, but Rupert Grint from Harry Potter, little Ron Weasley, I thought his
Mm-hmm.
character was really cool too. He didn't have a whole lot of screen time, but given that we've only really seen him in like I think he's on an Apple Plus show that's M. Night's as well, but this is the
Mm-hmm.
first time I've seen him in a movie since
The
like Harry
Servant.
Potter. Yeah, I think it's something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is the first time I've really seen him in like a big screen role since Harry Potter, and I thought he was really cool. So yeah, it's like a 3.5, teetering on a 4.
Mm-hmm. I'm at a 5. M. Night Shill over here, gonna give it the highest grade. It's my first 5-star movie of the year. Well, it's my most anticipated movie of the year. But to touch on the spoiler, do you feel like there was a twist ending in this movie?
Just a bit because it just felt like it was setting up for it being, well, if we're going into spoilers, it felt like it was being a fake apocalypse. Then all of a sudden, like, I don't know, it felt off. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to explain it that well, and it's not fresh enough in my mind to really go into too much detail, but for
Mm-hmm.
some reason when it hit me, I was just like, I liked everything leading up to this, but it just didn't hit right.
All right, well, I got your back because I've seen it twice. I love it. The ending of this movie in the book actually is we're in the same exact situation. We have the two dads and the little girl and Dave Bautista's character. They're all alive. So in the movie, Dave Bautista kills himself. Two
Hmm.
dads are sitting there talking about what they're gonna do, and then Christoph is like, you know, I've accepted it. Just fucking kill me. It's fine. And they end up doing that, and then the lawyer dad of the two takes the daughter, and then they go home
Yep.
and whatnot. It's this really nice, happy, hopeful M. Night ending. If you ever notice from M. Night's movies, he's never a guy to sick and twisted M. Night never really has these like downer endings. It's usually something more cheery, like Spielberg, you
Yeah.
know. So the book did what I wanted them to do. I turned to my girlfriend before we went into the movie and I was like, I would love for them to murder that child. Like in the context of the story, like that's the most interesting thing that they could do. And apparently in the book, the two dads, they're like arguing over the gun before Dave Batista dies. And they are grappling over the gun and they accidentally shoot the little girl and they're like, "Oh no, well at least the some one of us is dead and the world is saved and we're fine, right?" And Dave Bautista's like, it was an accident. You have to deliberately choose someone." And they're like, "Well, screw you, this is stupid and we're leaving and we don't care what happens." And we kind of leave on that note. And I would much more like that, except I would like it if they accidentally kill the girl that does fix things, and then you just kind of have this like silent car ride home of just like, what have we done? Like, did you ever see It
Oh
Comes at
yeah.
Night? The Joel
Mm,
Edgerton horror movie A24 from like
is that the
2016,
door
2018.
one?
Yeah, there's like a wolf on the cover, like
Yeah,
looking out into the dark.
and there's like a door that they want to go through in part of their house and stuff 'cause there's like a weird apocalypse thing going on.
Yeah, the ending of that movie just leaves you in this place of like, oh, we went through the shits and now what? And I kind of wish we got that here
Oh
instead of
yeah.
the, happy
It
everything's
almost
okay. Like Cabin in the Woods, the hand coming up. Like I wanted something more like that.
like The Mist. I don't know if you've seen The Mist, the Stephen
The
King
Mist is the
adaptation.
biggest fuck you ending ever. I love it.
That would have been like that. And honestly, yeah, that would have been amazing. It would have
Mhm,
that would have put it at a 5-star movie for me and probably would have made it my favorite M. Night movie. But yeah, I don't
mhm,
think M. Night's really that kind of guy to just leave you in despair like that. Because they could have done that just how like they played like a little bit of like flashbacks of like them being with their daughter and stuff. Like, it could have been so dark.
And I
We're
wish we would have gotten that,
we're
but
very evil people thinking that way, but
well, it's a movie, and like
yeah.
I wish you know how it ends on like the score as they drive away. I wish it just ended on the "I wanna put on my boogie shoes." Like I wish
Yeah.
that was the note we got left on because it's kind of cute when they're turning the music on and off together for
Yeah.
a second. But yeah, I have a lot of flaws with the movie. Obviously, I have a very personal relationship with M Night, so I'm gonna be very in depth with a movie like this. But I don't think it will be on my top 10 favorite movies of the year when it's all said and done.
Yeah, no, definitely not gonna be near mine, I don't think. But it's
Mhm.
not a bad movie. If you have time to go check it out, it's still playing in theaters around me, and I think it's worth checking out in theaters, especially if you're an M. Night fan like Adam. So
Mhm.
yeah, four.
It's nowhere near a bad movie. It's very, very good. There's great performances. M. Night is it's you notice how people are like kind of turning and like in M. Night's favor, and they're like, oh, he self-finances the last five of his movies that he's made, and he makes his money back and profit every single time. And I don't know if you saw this in the news, but he signed a four-picture deal with Warner Brothers, the studio he made Lady in the Water with.
Yeah, that's not great because I haven't seen that one, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for him because that's awesome. 'Cause especially when he literally had to finance movies by himself and to get that studio deal again, because he proved
Mm-hmm.
that he can be a money-making director once again. That's awesome. It's really cool to
Mm-hmm.
see, especially because he had that rise and then a bit of a dip, and now he gets to show that it wasn't just oh, I'm falling off and never coming back again. He fought his way back, and you love to see that kind of thing.
So that movie's going to come out in late 2024, I think like August or September. But that is not the only M Night movie or Shyamalan movie, should I say, that we're going to get in 2024 because his daughter is directing a movie, I think in June, that should
Mm,
come out, and so I'm going to be very excited for that as well.
that is cool. I actually didn't know he had a daughter that was that old.
hmm Yeah, nepotism be damned. I'll be there day one. I can't wait. The more M Night or the more Shyamalan, the better. Definitely go to the theater and see this. It's still out. It's very tense, but it's also very funny. It's a horror movie, but it's not very grotesque. Like I said, Dave Bautista is fantastic in it, and it's the best movie of the year so far.
Yeah, I'd say the themes are more of the horror than anything.
Mhm. Oh, the
But
planes scare the crap out of me.
yeah, those scenes are definitely like the effects were actually pretty decent for those shots.
hmm It reminded me of 9/11 right away.
Yeah, not fun.
Scary stuff. Yeah, very scary stuff. But yeah, go check it out. The movie will remind you about 9/11.
Yeah, that's not a great selling point.
But yeah, 5 out of 5, and you're 3.5 out of 5. Anything else about Knock at the Cabin?
Nah, Dave Bautista's awesome. Give him more jobs. He's gonna be in Dune too, right?
Yeah, probably. It's funny because someone was asking me about that. We were talking about it recently, and I was like, "Did he die in the first one?" I don't remember. So many people died. I
Yeah,
forgot.
I don't think so. I gotta
Mhm.
rewatch that.
Me too. Me as well. So we have a little bit more time before our intermission. So, was there any smaller movies before we get to the big first blockbuster of the year that you wanted to talk about?
Do we want to talk about Infinity Pool?
Perfect. This is a by David Cronenberg,
Brandon Cronenberg, David Cronenberg's
son.
son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he did The Possessor, which have
hmm
you seen The Possessor from a few
I
years ago?
I literally watched it the morning that I saw Infinity Pool.
Which one do you like more?
I think I enjoyed Infinity Pool just a little bit more, especially because of the cast.
hmm
Mia Goth, she's just incredible. I think she might be even better than she was in Pearl in this movie, just being like off the walls, making me want to shit my pants crazy. Like especially when she's using,
James.
yeah, that's like her actual accent, and it's terrifying. Like especially that whole scene of her yelling at him when he's on that bus. I was
Mhm,
so uncomfortable. In this movie, the definition that you ever want to use for this movie, it's uncomfortable. And it's aiming
mhm,
to make you uncomfortable the whole time with its imagery. And some of
mhm,
it is a bit like intense, especially like epileptic seizure. Like if you have epilepsy, maybe steer clear of this one, especially in the theater, just because it's very intense with its flashy editing, but it is crazy how
mhm.
intense but good it is at the same time. Like it had me very conflicted in the movie theater because like I was uncomfortable, but I wasn't hating the experience.
I was doing that like kind of awkward laugh, like, like I don't know if what I'm seeing is okay. Like I'm definitely uncomfortable, but like it is kind of funny how blunt it is. My favorite part is when they're cheering in the stands,
Yeah,
and without saying like too much detail, like it's like, oh my gosh, like this is effed up, man. So
yeah,
I really enjoyed it. Like, Alexander Skarsgård was great, and I don't know about you, but this is the first time I watched one of his movies where I was like, I hear Stellan.
yeah. I never thought about it, but yeah, you are right. That's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. The thing about this movie too that I didn't really think about, especially in the theater, is it's kind of continuing on the themes of last year, where it's kind of talking about how rich people are so gross and taking
Mm-hmm.
advantage of their privilege and whatnot. And just a lot of different things commenting on that, as well as this artist who's kind of so desperate to find someone that likes his art and just wants somebody to accept him, that literally the most crazy people he will accept and become one of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very weird in its themes, but it has a lot to say at the same time. With it's weird of how it's saying its messages, but it has a lot to say.
Mm-hmm. A lot more like Triangle of Sadness than Glass Onion.
Very much
Uh,
like that. Yeah.
But yeah, I think my favorite female performance of the year so far, which isn't saying much. I mean, I'm at 15 movies on the year, so I'm doing okay. But is definitely Mia Goth, and that she's awesome. And I hate that she didn't get any recognition for Pearl, but she can officially go in the club with Toni Collette from Hereditary, Florence Pugh in Midsummer, and Lupita Nyong'o in Us. Of
Yes, that's always the one that I always fight for so much because it's just, and
mhm,
even someone that's in the academy or something right now just came out and said something about like Lupita should have been nominated and probably won that year. And it's, I get really irritated when they make those fucking comments. It's like, yeah, we all know that. We've all been saying that. So you just confirming it just makes it even more upsetting because you could have done something about it.
hmm. Well, it's funny because I like bullying the Academy on Twitter because they'll do that. They'll be like, "Oh, remember how cool Hereditary was?" And I'll be like, "Did you?
Yeah,
Why?
because you
How dare you remember?"
should have forced your fucking voters to actually watch it. Because I guarantee
Yeah,
half those old people were like, eh. Right when they saw the
yeah.
DVD pop in, they're like, I'm not going to that, or show up to the fucking screening for Hereditary that they did. They're like, mm.
Yeah, but I definitely think Infinity Pool is not for everybody. Like, if you think that Knock at the Cabin is intense, Jesus Christ, Infinity Pool is kind of a rough watch. Like I explained it to my girlfriend, like what I liked about it, and she was like, "You mean you liked it?" And it's like, yeah, it's terrifying, but it's funny and it has a lot to say, and it's really well crafted, I think, and it makes me want to see Possessor.
Yeah, it's Possessor is definitely worth watching because it's out there too, but I think it's a little bit more subdued, especially with its budget and stuff too. But its ideas are huge. I'll just say
Mm-hmm.
that, and the effects are fantastic in that one especially. But
Mm-hmm.
oh, yeah, this one like tops the list of like movies that like freaked me out when I saw them in theaters, like Midsummer, Hereditary, Climax, which is a fucking really weird one that I saw in theaters. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's like I think it's Gaspar. It's either Gaspar No or somebody like that. It's like a different guy. They make weird ass movies. Oh yeah, and the remake of Suspiria
Suspiria.
that Luca Guadagnino did. That
Mm-hmm.
remake was crazy, especially at the end. I saw that and then had to go to class when I was still at Full Sail. I like
Mm-hmm.
showed up at class and I was like, I can't even fucking focus on anything because that movie just I can't stop thinking about how weird that was.
Mm-hmm. I need to see that one for sure. But I'm at a 4 to 5 on Infinity Pool. It's just a hard movie to watch. That's why I'm not going up to 5. But I think it's very great. It's my second favorite movie of the year so far, just ahead of Megan. but just behind Knock at the Cabin. And those three are the only three movies I really liked this year so far.
Yeah, so far Megan's definitely topping my pack for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other movie, honestly, is that we're going to talk about later is still pretty high up there just because I haven't seen that much of the new releases yet. But we'll
Mm-hmm.
get to
Oh
that.
no, I'm in the quantum realm with Ant-Man and the Wasp,
And
and
Jonathan
we
Majors.
and Kang, because a new dynasty is forming in the MCU with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. This is the umpteenth Marvel blockbuster to come out in this century. How do you feel about it?
So, knowing this conversation and where it's going, I liked it a lot more than Adam did. And we're just going to start right there
Uh
because
huh.
while I say that, it is not the best Marvel movie, nor is it really like even like a top 10 Marvel movie, in my opinion. But
Mm-hmm.
is it still a decent movie? In my opinion, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't really have, like, granted, I haven't seen Ghostbusters Afterlife, so I don't know that, but you can't really have a
Oof.
bad movie with Paul Rudd that I've seen. I love
Mm-hmm.
the guy. He makes me laugh all the time, and he makes me laugh definitely the most in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
He's hilarious. I mean, but there are people in this movie that feel like they don't belong here and feel like they were definitely just in like a blue room in Atlanta somewhere, not knowing where the hell they were. And that's Michael Douglas for sure. That
Mm-hmm.
guy feels like he's lost this entire movie. But I think the Quantum Realm looks really cool. I don't know a whole lot about these different characters, but Jonathan Majors as Kang, I thought was very menacing. It can definitely become the next big bad guy, especially with the power that he has. Probably more menacing than Thanos, honestly, but they have to build that, obviously. A lot of people that don't know his character won't know how important he is. And the people that are shitting on the effects on MODOK, I loved how MODOK looked because in the comics, it's literally just a face like that and it looks stupid as hell.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, a lot of that stuff that people are complaining about, I thought were actually pretty decent. But some of the performances, other than Paul Rudd and Jonathan Majors, were pretty rough. And like, but
Mm-hmm.
Evangeline Lilly was really trying to believe in science, so that's really cool. I'm happy she could do that because she doesn't believe in vaccines. But other than that, I think it's a decent movie. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
better than Thor, the last Thor that came out for sure,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not great.
Mm-hmm. Um, I'm happy you liked it. I am, and I will say the majority opinion in the world is that it is generally a fine movie. I think it has on Rotten Tomatoes from critics a 47%, but those are just professionals. The audience score is an 84%, and the audience is what reigns supreme, specifically with the $120 million extended President's Day weekend that the movie has made domestically
Yeah,
alone. So that's insane.
that's Paul
But
Rudd numbers.
yeah, speaking of Paul Rudd, it is very possible for Paul Rudd to be in a bad movie. My least favorite movie of 2021 was Ghostbusters Afterlife, and he is one of the worst parts about it. I don't know, everything's the worst part about it.
I
But
have a feeling when I watch that movie that I will fucking love it.
I'm really happy for you. I really want you to. I can't stand it, and I can't stand this. Ant-Man the Wasp: Quantumania is an absolute disaster, and not even in a fun way. It's one of the ugliest movies I have ever seen in my life. The story is so by the numbers and basic. All of the characters are either annoying or useless. No one seems to really want to be here. There's no passion whatsoever. The best part about the movie, which is Kang, is one of my least favorite parts about the movie. I think he does a fine performance. I think he's extremely attractive. And I think that there is hope for him in the future as the main baddie of the MCU. Emphasis on the baddie. But I'm very afraid
Of Kang, yeah, he's badass.
of the
No, I
future in the MCU. It's not
no,
not looking good.
I understand what you're saying. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't disagree with some of those points for sure. Some of the shots in this looked worse. Like I rewatched The Hobbit and Unexpected Journey literally this morning, well, a little bit on Friday and finished it this morning. The effects in that movie, which is now 11 years old, I think,
Mm-hmm.
look better than in Ant-Man. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not a compliment whatsoever because like the shots of just the animation and the way they created the quantum realm, that's not my problem. It's like when Michael Douglas is standing in the quantum realm that it looks awful. Like the depth of field on the shots, it looks so fake, and it's just it took me out of the movie completely, and it just kind of made me laugh a few times. The same way where I'm just like, I know it's an Ant-Man movie, and I guess kind of spoilers, but not even really. When the fucking all of the ants show up to kind of save the day, I was like, that's what we're gonna do.
Mhm.
Like I get it,
So
but it just felt so anticlimactic when we were setting up such big things, and like, oh, we're just gonna get saved by a bunch of ants.
yeah, man. Shout out to Michael Douglas, who drinking game if you want while you watch this. Just take a drink every time that Michael Douglas's ants. It was kind of funny the first time, and then he just keeps doing it. Like that's his only thing that he has to contribute to the movie is saying ants and not wanting to put his hands in the weird gooey thing.
Yeah, I know you'll agree with me, and I said it in my video too. This movie, unfortunately, was directed by Peyton Reed, but if we
Mm,
had our original director that was originally supposed to direct the original Ant-Man being Edgar Wright, the Quantum Realm, I feel like would have been amazing. The way
mm,
Edgar creates things and edits things, I feel like it would have been an insane, like almost like a Scott Pilgrim visual thrill ride.
mm.
So it's almost fun to kind of think about it that way, but it almost makes it more sad that it's not that.
Edgar Wright's rolling in his grave watching this movie. Edgar Wright would never watch a movie like this, first of all. And you brought up The Hobbit earlier. Peter Jackson is better on his worst day, aka The Hobbit, than Peyton Reed is on his best day. Okay, Peyton Reed, I bet he's a nice dude and whatnot. I don't wish ill will upon the man, but he should go to jail, cinema jail, because he is just terrible. He's clearly the weakest director that regularly works in the MCU. He has absolutely no personal style. I can't stand anything in this movie. What am I supposed to like about the only thing I really like take away any positive enjoyment because I was cringing and just upset the entire I thought about walking out is Modoc is ironically hilarious.
Yes, and I think he was done pretty well. Like I said, I don't know a whole bunch about the comics, but I've seen the character in like different animated things, and it stays pretty true to what he is. And although I don't think it was ever that specific character as Modoc, but I found
Mm-hmm.
that to be fucking hilarious too. But there were
Mm-hmm.
moments in here that I genuinely thought were funny, but yes, there were a lot of parts that literally I just wanted to fold up into my seat. They were so fucking just cringy and bad. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I love Catherine Newton in other movies, but she just annoyed the hell out of me, especially in different scenes in this movie where she's literally trying to like give funny lines. It just felt like Peyton Reed should have like been like, all right, let's go for another take here, especially one line specifically, like when Scott doesn't make it into the portal at the end to get to the back to where they're supposed to be. And she's like,
Mm-hmm.
Dad, but she like, Dad. Like it's almost like she has no emotion to her voice or her face, and it's just like, why did we not try that again? Like it
Mm-hmm.
speaks more to Peyton Reed than it does to Catherine Newton, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just there's so many things in here that could have just been tweaked a little bit. That almost felt like they didn't do it because they didn't care.
Mm-hmm. Well, I tell you what, I can't wait for the Avenger Babies movie starring Catherine Newton as Baby Ant Man, and we have Baby Hawkeye and Baby Black Widow, Baby Iron Man, Baby Thor. You
I
know,
like it.
I don't know. I understand it from like a
I
corporate
like David
standpoint,
Harbour.
but I'm just sick and tired of like make one good movie now, please. Stop trying to set up like that Matt Ramos tweet where he was like, if you go into this expecting a single movie, like a one good movie that caps off the Ant-Man trilogy, which by the way, what a joke. That's the funniest joke in the Ant-Man trilogy is the word trilogy.
Yeah,
Um,
none like the first two movies feel like two movies that go together. This third movie feels like a clusterfuck and doesn't feel like it really continues those stories whatsoever. Like
mhm.
literally the beginning scene and the end scene are literally the only thing that really feel like Ant-Man. The rest of it feels like a completely different like Guardians of the Galaxy almost story that has no connection. Because like the first two Ant-Man movies are literal like heist movies. And
Mhm.
they're I think those movies are fun for that reason. But the one thing that I was really missing in this one too was his crew. We didn't get any of those characters. We
Yep.
didn't get Ti. We had David Desmalchian, the Russian character, whatever he is in that movie. I can't remember where he's actually from, but he was a voice of one of the characters in the quantum realm, I guess, but no Ti. We didn't get what can I say? Michael
Michael
Pena.
Pena.
Yeah, we didn't get Michael Pena, and I'm just like, if Michael Pena would have been the narration without not Paul Rudd, that would have made the movie like 10 times better for me too. I feel like that would have just been hilarious. We've already had his narration before, so it would have made sense.
Well, Paul Rudd's cute, and dogs are cute, and you like this movie, right? Like now.
Hey, Paul Rudd's cute. I agree, and Jonathan Majors is a beautiful man, but there are just
Mhm.
things in this movie that I feel like if you would have thought about it for like 5 more minutes, there would have way more cool ideas that you could have done and just fixed that. Again, if you just had a little bit more passion for it, and I feel like you were saying, Peyton Reed, I don't feel like he really belongs in the MCU anymore, and I'm kind of hopeful that this is his last project.
It's funny because you brought up Ant-Man and the Wasp, which before this movie was my third least favorite MCU movie. And I remember watching Quantumania, I was like, maybe I do like Ant-Man and the Wasp.
The
Like
villain in
I was
Ant-Man and
just
the
so
Wasp is
upset.
bad, but the rest of the movie I think is pretty fun.
Well, I was like, at least it's like, not the ugliest thing I've ever seen in the world. And like, I don't know, at least it's trying to juggle a little bit less than
Yeah,
Ant-Man and the Wasp is. Quantumania, it's just trying to do so much. Everyone's so unnecessary. What happened? I saw a TikTok about this today. This guy was talking about, remember at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, we're going to the quantum realm. Everyone, the whole crew, Michael Douglas, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Evangeline Lilly, they all go there. And now in this one, suddenly Michelle Pfeiffer's like, "Oh, no one can go to the quantum realm. Never go back. Oh my God, don't send a beacon there." Like, I don't think any of this was planned out. I think this is such a sloppy, disgusting movie. Like, it's fine, it's passable. I'm sure that most people will be like, "Yeah, it was okay." It's gonna be no one's favorite MCU movie, but people will like that Kang's in it, and they'll like that after credit scene. And
yeah.
who cares,
I think it did some good setting up for the future, especially for
Mm.
Kang. But will I ever go back and rewatch this movie? I will probably be skipping this, similar to Thor: The Dark World. It doesn't have a lot to offer to me, and it's not enough there for me to go back. There's really
Mm-hmm.
what it's going to come down to. Like the other Ant-Man movies, I've rewatched them since, and I saw Ant-Man and the Wasp twice in theaters. There's
Mm-hmm.
just something about this one that I just don't really care about. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it might be partially because of that not passion, as well as there's just so much that I could already fix now. Like it doesn't need a rewatch for me to just point out all of these things. And it's been days since I've seen it, and that just shows how much these mistakes kind of harp into my brain. So I feel like it's going to get worse as it ages, and not,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And I feel similar ways to other Marvel movies too. So I don't know.
I feel like it has the same problem as Endgame with the villain because Ant-Man knows who Kang is in general. But in the future, like in an Avengers movie, when Kang has to talk to Ant-Man, he's not going to know who Ant-Man is. So there's no personal beef from the villain there. I don't feel like there's any development for the villain. I don't know what King wants to do. And if someone tells me one more time, he's conquer, it's in his name. Conquer what? Why? Everything? Okay. Who is he? Where does he come from? Why does he want to do this? Who does he know? Why does this matter? Like I don't emotionally, I'm not emotionally invested in King whatsoever.
Well, yeah, but that's similar to how, because like this is literally one of the first times they're introducing him, kind of like how they did it at the end of the Avengers. Like we didn't know who that guy was sitting in that throne seat, and that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
what they did here. Like they showed you a little bit of bits and pieces, but that Kang Dynasty stuff that they're gonna do in the Avengers movies, that's where they're gonna dive deep into who he is and what he's there
Mm-hmm.
for, because it is literally that. Like he's coming to not just do what Thanos did and kind of eliminate half the stuff for his own gain or whatever, and thinks he's trying to do good. Kang's not trying to do good. Kang is literally here to take over everything and literally make the world his playground.
Mm-hmm. Well, Thanos was like a good villain and a sympathetic villain because, well, not really sympathetic, but like I understood him. I know why he wanted what he wanted. I know what he wanted. I know who he had personal beef with. And here I just don't feel like I'm getting any of that. And you bring up the mid credit scene of the Avengers when Thanos shows up. That's literally just like the littlest taste. Like that's his for your first like exposure to Thanos, and he doesn't even speak a word. All he does is smile, right? And then we finally hear him speak. He has a scene or two in Guardians of the Galaxy. He has a mid-credit scene in Avengers: Age of Ultron, and like we really got time to build up to this, where
But
we were like, all right, finally. And
would you
Kang is
not?
already in a finale of a TV show, and he's the main villain of this, and he could be so easily disposed by ants.
But I would almost say that that is his build in a way, because
Mm-hmm.
they're building it the same way if you really think about it. Because like the Loki scene is the end credit Avengers scene, and this is the Guardians. He wasn't in, like he didn't really have that much to do in this movie. Like he was the big bad, but did he really? Was he really the big villain in this movie? It was
The
more of just
poster's
trying to
his
escape
face.
the quantum realm. The quantum realm was the real villain in this movie almost. Like he was kind of just
Mm-hmm.
an added on, again, almost introduction to that character in a way. It's weird, and yeah, it's kind of a waste of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I found it, I
I
mean, it's one of those things where it's literally just trying to set up stuff and shove popcorn in your face, moneymaker movie for Disney. That's
Mhm.
at the end of the day, unfortunately, that's what it is.
It's just gonna be really embarrassing in May when Guardians of the Galaxy comes out, and a movie made by an actual director, an actual writer with actual passion, an actual good ensemble cast of characters and actors, and they have an actual great movie that they actually care about. Unlike Ant-Man the Wasp: Quantumania, no wonder it was relegated to the likes of February. I really just don't like this movie. When I saw it, it was my 14th movie of the year, and it didn't make my top 10 list. That's how bad this was. Teen Wolf, the movie, was better than this.
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch that.
Meaning, I didn't even watch the show, and I was still like, yeah, the fans of that will probably like this, and it didn't offend me. Ant-Man the Wasp: Quantumania like made me upset, and thank God I drafted it in our box office movie game. And we'll give you guys some updates now. We just talked about Knock at the Cabin in the first half of this episode. That has made just over 30 million domestically in just about like 3-4 weekends now. So that is not going to cross the $100 million domestic threshold, meaning the 68% on Rotten Tomatoes will not go in my favor for score total. So that is a 0 dud of a movie for me. But Ant-Man the Wasp: Quantumania, like I said, in the domestic weekend, President's Day weekend, made 120 million. So already has passed that threshold. So all 47 points from the Rotten Tomatoes score go to me, which gives me the commanding lead.
Yeah, I got a big zero. I ain't had the movie come out yet.
Well, Creed, you have Creed in just 2 weeks now, 2-3
Creed
weeks.
and Scream, like, it's the same weekend, or is it right around like a week
And
after week
Shazam, I
maybe?
think everything. John Wick, you have like 4 movies in
Yeah,
March.
March is a big month for me, and it's honestly my most anticipated month because those are all Creed 3 and Scream 6 are my most anticipated movies of the year by a mile. I just, like you were
Mm-hmm.
saying, you rewatched Creed 1 earlier. I
Yeah,
rewatched
I'm in the
Creed
middle of it.
2 over the weekend. That still, that was one of my favorite movies of 2018,
Mm-hmm.
and it's honestly one of my favorite like boxing movies, and honestly approaching my top 10 like favorite movies ever. Like, I just fucking love that movie. If you don't know the
Mm-hmm.
story of it, since you've already just went through all the Rockies, it's like a spiritual sequel to Creed, I mean Rocky 4, because
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah,
Ivan
yeah, it's
Drago, or
Ivan
it's,
Drago's son.
yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
it is so good. There's so much good, like, not just the boxing in it, but the heart and everything. And I think, yeah, this one was actually co-written by Sylvester Stallone too.
Mm-hmm. I have the only one I have not seen is Creed 2, but I've seen all 6 Rocky movies, and I've seen Creed. I just need to rewatch it because I haven't seen it since, what was it, 2015?
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's
something
very
like that.
good. And just to speak on the Rocky franchise, real quick, the first one's all time goated. It's a perfect movie, I think. And then Rockies 2 through 4 and Rocky 6 are all really, really, really good. I think 4 rises above the others. The second one probably follows. But I had a really great time with all those. And even the worst one, Rocky 5, was still solid movie, if not really weird. But I'm a huge Rocky fan now.
Did Rocky
So
Balboa make you cry? Because it made me cry.
it's just so cute when he's like, He's like, I don't listen to what they say. I mean, on the news and stuff, but I do. It hurts sometimes, and maybe I'm a creep. He's just so adorable and well intended. He's like Forrest Gump. He's just so innocent,
Yeah, he makes you love him so much. And once you get into the Creed movies, he does even better being old man Rocky, and it's just so adorable.
No, what cloud? What's the cloud? And like, Jesus Christ, man. Rocky's just like I asked my girlfriend earlier, I was like, what's the difference between Rocky and Paddington? And she said one of them's a bear. And
That's
but still
pretty.
the sentiment's there.
Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, Creed 2 is awesome. I can't wait for you to watch it.
I'm excited. So yes,
And
we have a lot of exciting movies coming up.
yeah, we
In
just
our
talked about Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Jonathan Majors is going to be the major bad in Creed 3. And those
mhm.
trailers, he's so fucking buff, and it just looks so scary. Like, I don't know, like, he definitely trained to box, and like that man being that powerful and a boxer, I would hate to ever be on the wrong side of that man ever. Him or Michael B.
Mhm.
Jordan. Because Michael B. Jordan, especially in these Creed movies, he looks cut up.
And there's personal beef there. We know why, like
Yeah.
just in the trailer, we know why Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors don't like each other and why this is going to matter. And Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, like I guess it's personal between Kang and Michelle Pfeiffer, but with Paul Rudd, who Paul Rudd has always felt like the fake main character of his own movie. Like he's like a side character in his own movie.
He's
He
the
never
golden
has an arc.
retriever.
Yeah, there's no
He's
arc.
always there
There's
to help, but
no
he's not really.
change. He's just a joke, man. He's like the worst Avenger. He's a joke.
But he's so lovable, and he's just the best. He's
hmm
the everyman. He's just the everyman from Kansas.
I love Groot. I love Baby Groot. He's adorable and really great. So when they made the little shorts, they're like 5 minutes long, and they made like 10 of them.
Mm-hmm.
That was perfect.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's what
adorable.
Ant-Man deserves. Just that scene from Endgame with them when he's making a taco. Like that's the Ant-Man movie.
All right,
Just
enough with
put it
the
on
Ant-Man
Disney
hate.
Plus.
The Ant-Man's not that bad. Write in the comments
I
if
think
you
the
liked
first movie's
Ant-Man.
good. The first movie's good. The second one's mid, and the third one is at best. I think at best mid. I think people are menacing themselves a little bit and being like, "No, Marvel's still good. I swear." And
Yeah, I put it at a 3.5, but I honestly was on the border of putting it at a 3 because I liked it. But I did not, like I said, I will not ever rewatch it. I think it is just fine.
I
There's
gave it a
nothing
two
there to.
star, but I wanted to give it a 1 star. And but I'm just a hater. So if you like this movie, that's great. Go see this movie. Actually, go give money to the theaters. I would rather you see this than see nothing. It's nowhere near as good as the last Marvel entry, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which was made by an actual director with an actual cast and an actual cool concept.
I
So
misinterpreted what you said at first. I thought you said that I thought you said that Black Panther was worse, and I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
no, Black Panther was fantastic. Go see that. Honestly, go see Spider-Man: No Way Home over Quantumania. Go see Top Gun over Ant-Man Quantumania, and
I love Top Gun.
the depths that I'm seeking to right now.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, but I just don't think it's. I think you're just a little bit over.
hmm
I just don't think it's that bad, but it is bad. It's not great.
Time will
But
tell.
we're going to touch on one more thing at least that I went and saw in the theaters for the very first time. And it's a movie that actually came out the year I was born, being 1996, won Best Picture in 1997, and that is Titanic. James Cameron released it in 4K, 3D. I think it's even like a higher frame rate, I think. It looked so crispy on the big screen. I literally had the theater to myself at like noon on a Monday, and it was just beautiful. I'd never seen the movie, didn't know it was like 3 hours long, but honestly, that experience was the best way to do it because just like I said, it looked amazing. The story was amazing. I had no idea, like, obviously I knew how it was going to end, but I didn't know really the love story that went on between Jack and
Rose,
Rose.
you're the one who's just watching.
But that wasn't even the big part about it for me. I had no idea how like intense it got during the actual like breaking and like going down of the Titanic. and
Hmm.
like the mom putting the little kids to bed. Just such heartbreaking scenes. And I was like, what the hell? I didn't know. I thought this was like a love story movie for like the last 20 years of my life. I had no
Hmm.
idea that it got so dark with the actual Titanic stuff. I thought it might have been like and that happened in the end, and blah, blah, blah. But
And then that happened. I didn't know
yeah,
the Titanic was gonna sink.
I had no
Uh,
idea that like literally all these people would be in peril for like over an hour. Like literally, the movie is 3 hours long, and like over half of the movie almost is that. And
mhm.
it was great, but it was just intense and not something I was expecting. But it's a huge 5 out of 5 for me. And if you can go see it still in that 3D aspect and in that theater, go do it, because that experience is something that I will never forget. And it was just a blast.
I probably will not because I want to, but I just don't have 4 hours, and there's so much I'm behind on right now. Like not missing Magic Mike and 80 for Brady that I need to catch up on. And also, I'd rather rewatch Avatar 2 before I rewatch Titanic, if being honest, because I recently watched Titanic last year, and I'll tell you the best way to watch Titanic. We have, remember Blockbuster? They have like, it looks like a VHS case, and inside is a puzzle, a 500-piece puzzle, and we tried to put together the puzzle of the movie poster during the length of the runtime of the movie, and we finished it just in the middle of the credits.
That's
So
awesome.
that's the best way to to watch it. But it's a really great movie. I think the biggest flex from Titanic is that it's one of the highest grossing movies of all time. And especially if you put it into context, like the movies you have in the same area, like the Avengers, Star Wars, Jurassic World, Avatar, these big high concept genres, sci-fi, fantasy franchise movies. So for Titanic to just be a standalone historical biopic
Yeah.
or biopic of a situation like romance, and like yes, it does have that epic like disaster movie. It is a disaster movie too, you know.
Yeah.
And
And the thing that's so crazy about that too, of being in that league, is like you would never expect, especially in 1996, this 3 hour plus movie or whatever it is, to get that many repeat viewings from people with that length of a movie, to get people to just go back. And like some of the Avengers movies, even though they're 2.5 hours long, they don't feel it. This movie definitely, you feel parts of that length on purpose just because of all the events going down. And the
mhm,
fact that this darker but also still love story just got that many people to come back, especially in the 90s, just speaks to
mhm,
the quality in itself. Because, like, yeah, cinema, especially these days, people love to go back and see it again just to analyze the shit out of it and have their opinions
mhm,
all over it. But back then, that was just people genuinely wanting to go see this movie over and over. And I
mhm.
think that is pretty incredible.
I also think there were less options, and like it was probably out for longer because of that. No, and I think it did really well overseas. One thing I would love to hear from you, actually, since you saw it recently, how would you rank this amongst James Cameron movies that you've seen? So obviously, two Terminator movies, two Avatar movies. Have you seen True Lies
I
or The
have not.
Abyss?
I have not. I have The Abyss on VHS actually, but I haven't watched it yet.
All right, so
But
we'll
yeah,
take
like,
those two Terminator movies, two Avatar movies, and this. Where is this ranking for you?
so yeah, definitely Terminator 2 and Terminator are definitely at the top. I would say it probably, and then Aliens, obviously.
Oh, I
And
forgot Aliens. Oh my God,
it
he's the
probably falls
greatest.
right behind those, and then the Avatar movie is 2 and 1. But yeah,
Mm,
I really, really enjoyed it. I think it's definitely a 5-star movie, and honestly, most of his movies are, other than just me being an Avatar hater. But
mhm,
I really think that he is, especially after seeing this movie, he is definitely the blockbuster filmmaker that everyone says that he is, and he
mhm.
deserves the acclaim, even though he is a bit cocky and kind of an asshole sometimes.
He deserves it. Okay, he is the best. Jimmy James Cameron, Daddy Cameron delivers once again.
He helps keep cinema alive, and for that, I will always be thankful for that.
So I want to hear from you about another couple movies that I've missed out on. If I had to go to the movies right now, if for an 11 o'clock showtime, am I seeing Magic Mike 3 or 80 for Brady?
I, for you especially,
Hmm.
that is tough because both of these movies are almost nothing movies. But
Hmm.
I think you'd probably get more of a kick out of 80 for Brady, just
Hmm.
because obviously being a football fan, there's all of those references, but the movie is also just cheesy beyond belief. And I think you would
Hmm.
honestly laugh at a lot of the dumb shit that they do.
Hmm.
It's
I
the
have
Guy
that Tom
Fieri's
Brady
in it.
jersey, the navy blue one.
Yeah, Guy Fieri's in it. Tom Brady. You get Julian Edelman. You get Gronk. Even though Gronk literally says like a couple things, but it's just a bunch of old ladies going to the Super Bowl. I went and saw it with my parents, and they loved it. So the intended audiences are getting a kick out of it, and it's pretty harmless. There's nothing really that bad about it. It's just a nothing movie.
Hmm.
Like it's basically just the story of these ladies that all had a connection to Tom Brady because one of them had cancer and she went through her treatments watching Tom Brady literally like go into the starting position of the Patriots that year.
Hmm.
So then it was like one of their last chances to go see him at the Super Bowl. So they went to go see him play the acclaimed Atlanta game where they were losing so badly.
Hmm.
And it's just there's a couple moments in there that are pretty silly, but and it's literally like the plot of it is very, very simple, but it's a harmless movie. And with Magic Mike 3, it is the least, I think it might be well, I take that back. It is the least stripping movie of them, but if you like dancing a lot and very much sexual tension, but not a lot of sex, like teasing you basically for 90 minutes, you're going to love this movie.
Hmm.
It's for the old ladies who get their rocks off while watching people dance and whatnot, but it's more of like a Chippendales type show than it is like Magic Mike. Like it's more subdued, and he's kind of trying to put on a stage show with stripping elements. Like it's very hard to explain.
Hmm.
But the whole story of it basically is like Pretty Woman in reverse. Selma Hayek's this rich lady who hires him to do this show because she
Hmm.
finds out that he's a stripper when he's doing a catering job. That's basically what the story is.
It sounds like a couple 3 out of 5s here.
Oh, very much so. They're harmless movies that you'd really, if you were going out to 11 o'clock showing tonight, I'd say go watch Avatar again or something. Like these movies, they don't really need your time that badly. But if you really wanted to go see one, you'd probably like 80 for Brady more. But honestly, they're both the same.
The football and the cast interest me in 80 for Brady. And then I did watch both the Magic Mike movies this month to get ready for Magic Mike
Those are
3.
those are both better than this one for sure. Like Magic Mike 2 is
Mhm.
mostly just horny dancing,
Yes.
and it's better than this movie, even though this one has more of a plot, but it barely does.
Oh, I will like this one probably more than the last one because the second one was a big disappointment because I really like the first one. I
The
think the best
first
part about the first one is that it could be very sticky like the sequel and just be like, we're the stripping movie. Come watch us and have a good time and sex appeal, which sure, that's what the movie is about and that's what sells it. But the first movie is actually like a movie with like a main character and an
mhm.
arc and like a plot. And like that's what I like. I like movies. Like I go to the movies to see a movie, not a strip
Yep, and
show. But I do
unfortunately,
appreciate the fun strip show though.
they try more of the stuff in this one, but it just doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have the same like there's a lot more emotional depth to that first one, especially with the story being like the drug addiction stuff and all the different stuff around like the male stripping community that's not the nicest. And in this one, they unfortunately just can't get that same level of emotion. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of just like Magic Mike isn't doing Magic Mike stuff anymore, and it's kind of like his crawl back into that life in a way. And it's
So,
like you barely even like literally his old cast, you get them on a fucking Zoom call like we're doing right now. That's how you get
oh,
to see like the other strippers like Kevin Nash and stuff like that. Very
mm,
disappointing. I don't even like I think they recast Matthew McConaughey's part. I don't think it would I think it was supposed to be that
Dallas.
character. Yeah, I think it was supposed to be that character, but it was played by it's Matt Bomber, I think, or somebody like that. That's one of those guys with that face.
Jeez.
But
Well,
yeah, it
I'm
was just
sure I'll see. I'm a
disappointing.
big Salma Hayek fan, so I'll see it.
Yeah, and it has Steven Soderbergh, I think, came back and directed it, but like some of the shots you can tell, like, yeah, he's trying, and like the dance choreography looked fantastic, and like the way it was shot is good, but like the story just unfortunately did not captivate. And there's fucking narration by a character that's not Mike or Selma Hayek that just felt very unnecessary as well.
Mhm. Well, I'll certainly see both of them. Just to quickly touch on a couple 3 out of 5 movies from me as well. One I'll recommend, the other one I won't. Is Missing. I just finally got to it, and I was not a fan, even though I love Searching. I imagine you liked that a little bit more than I did, right?
Yeah, I liked it. I didn't love it.
The twist really lost it for me, but I do like the editing, and it's directed by the editor of the Searching, the first movie. Um, I will recommend, not really recommend, but like the 3 out of 5 that I did like, and this is currently my fourth favorite movie of the year. Yeah, it's sad. Is Jesus Revolution. This is the movie with Kelsey Grammer, and it stars the guy who plays Jesus in The Chosen as a like homeless guy who is picked up by a preacher's daughter, and she introduces him to her dad, and lets him join the church, and he starts the Calvary Chapel youth, Jesus music revolution. And it's just a feel good little movie. I wouldn't go out of your way ever to go see it, but like if you're looking for volume in your life, and just a feel good religious story. I'm not very I was raised religious, but not very religious now, but it was cute.
I have one more that I wanted to add real quick. I saw Plane. It's very much like I wrote. It's like a TNT Sunday afternoon movie.
Yeah.
But it's better than the average one. Like by the name Plane, I was expecting nothing, but
Mhm.
it was better than I thought it was, and it was because of like it was mainly like Michael Coulter, I think, really being a better actor and kind of brought out Gerard Butler in a way because it's very much the same character that Gerard Butler's been playing for like the past 10 plus years of this action hero that needs to
Leonidas.
get together and save the day, whether it's Leonidas or like all of the White House Down movies, shit like that. Like it's very much
Mhm.
that kind of character of him trying to save the day and having a family at home that he wants to get back to and shit like that. But it's a harmless movie, but some of the action's actually shot pretty well too. So it's fun. I gave it like a 3 to a 3.5.
Mhm. I'll definitely be seeing it at some point, especially if it comes to streaming. You saw me light up like that.
But I also
Mhm.
watched Legally Blonde for the first time too. Very fun movie. I just
Yeah,
wanted to say that
I
too.
thought it was cute. I actually, speaking of Reese Witherspoon, I saw the rom com on Netflix with Ashton Kutcher,
Oh, my
Your
mom
Place
watched
or
that. I didn't
Mine.
watch it yet. Yeah.
It's cute. They're both extremely attractive. So that's
Yeah.
nice.
I love both of them, so I'll probably get a kick out of it.
But speaking of attractive, that you've experienced some ass, everybody. Thank you so
Yes.
much for watching. I'm Adam. You could check me out at my YouTube reviews, at Hard Reviews. Hello, Adam Ryan Donato Reviews. Steve.
Yeah, the film fan reviews. I just put up what's the last video? I put up the Ant-Man video and I'm about to record my Scream franchise ranking pretty quick here. I have my script about written out, so keep an eye
Mm-hmm.
out for that. I'm so excited for Scream. So excited.
I just posted my worst movies, or I'm about to post tonight my worst movies of last year list, and I'm about to record my best movies of last year list. And we can't wait to talk to you guys about the great movies coming out in March, including Cocaine Bear next week and the
Yeah.
Oscars very, very soon. So be looking forward to that. Thank you guys so much for talking about movies with us.
We cheer for Brennan here. A little bit for Austin.
Austin all the way, baby.
Oh, Brendan.